Good morning, sir. Hello.
Good morning. Are you able to hear?
Sir, we are able to hear you. We will start. We will wait for 2 more minutes for rest of the participants to join, and we will start, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Yash. Yash. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Yash. Are you able to hear me? Hold on. Hello. Hello, participants. Can anybody tell me whether I am audible or not? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's start today's meeting. Today is the third day of the summer school, and we are into the industrial insight segment of this particular summer school. Sir, am I audible to you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Uh, Sir, Yash Nigam is the brand ambassador of Costas Careerica. He is a student who has been appointed on this particular thing, and he was actually about to master this particular event, but due to some technical issues, he couldn't. So I am officially starting this particular event. Uh, Dear audience, today we have an eminent professor, and you can say eminent entrepreneur and very learned personality with us, Professor Anil Kumar, sir. And it's my pleasure to introduce him to the August gathering. Dr. Anil Kumar sir is a distinguished researcher with extensive experience spanning decades. 3 decades means 30 years in academics and industrial research. His expertise covers a wide range of areas, including agri formulations, preventive healthcare solutions, nutraceuticals, solid state formulations, means co-crystals, and nanobiotechnology. He have a strong background in natural product chemistry, biocatalysis, and green chemistry, as evidenced by his authorship of 3 internationally renowned texts in these fields. Uh, with over 60 publications and 23 patents on his name, Dr. Kumar has made significant contributions to the advancement of science and technology. He has focused his research on various aspects of natural products formulation, nutraceuticals, solid state formulations, nanomaterials, pre-probiotics, and their applications across multiple industries such as healthcare, agriculture, and chemicals. Uh, Professor Anil earned his doctorate from Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Prashantiniyam, India in 1990. He then embarked on a career in academia for over 15 years before transitioning to industrial research. Notably, he served as the head of Center of Drug Repurposing at CRDR at Dr. Reddy's Institute of Life Sciences, Hyderabad, where he played a pivotal role in advancing research initiatives and setting up a state-of-the-art PPP model and R&D facility in pharmaceutical research. Subsequently, he joined Tata Chemicals Limited Innovation Center at Pune as principal scientist and head of TCL Innovation Center. Here, he led the development of preventive healthcare formulations, nutraceuticals, agri-formulations, pre- and probiotic formulations, and inorganic nanomaterial, identifying new business opportunities for the company. He was a key member in developing two new business verticals for Chemicals Limited, pre-probiotic FOS and GOS, and nanosilica. Currently, Dr. Kumar serves as the advisor and consultant to healthcare and agri companies in India, leveraging his vast expertise to provide valuable insights and guidelines in various aspects of research and development. In order to aid the transition of Indian academia research to value-added marketable products, he keenly associates with universities. He is also the professor of practice at Senatorian University, Odisha. His career trajectory underscores his commitment to advancing scientific knowledge and driving innovation in diverse fields, ultimately contributing to societal well-being and industrial growth. He has authored several books. To name a few, are Green Chemistry and Engineering, which got published by Birthworth Heinemann, Burlington, USA in 2007. The second book, Biotreatment and Industrial Effluent, also got published by the same publisher in 2005. Then Biotransformations and Bioprocess by Marcel and Derek in New York, USA in 2004. He have authored several chapters, and his technical activities include Young Teacher Career Award in 1996 by AICT New Delhi. He is a member of Board of Studies of Sri Satya Sai Institutes of Higher Learning. He is a top innovator for India for the year 2008-9 by Intellectual Ventures USA. He is a member of and domain expert of the Mission Mode project on salt and potash by CSIR New Delhi from 2016 to 2019. He is the director of BioValley Incubation Council Andhra Pradesh MedTech Zone, Visakhapatnam from 2018 to 2020. He was the chairman of Institutional Ethical Committee at Sankar Foundation Eye Hospital, Vipagunta, Visakhapatnam from 2011 to 2022. Currently, he is a director of Nita Life Sciences and CVR Life Sciences, and I'm glad to tell you all that Sir is also the pro bono advisor and the senior most advisor at Costa's Karerika. So, with this short introduction, I am welcoming Professor Anil Kumar sir to deliver his lecture. Sir, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pratima. It was very kind of you for giving such a detailed introduction. So I may not deserve all of that. So the topic that has been given to me is the opportunities and career opportunities in healthcare sector. Am I right? So
Yes.
that's the topic. I don't see many of the students being taking part in this. However, I will share what I know about the opportunities and the future trends in healthcare sector with maybe a few slides and more of discussion. So I would request all the participants to please listen to what is being told with attention, because there will be not much of visual support but more of a discussion, or I would even in fact request you all to pose a question as and when you feel you have a query. Please stop me. There's absolutely no problem. You don't need to wait till the end. Please do stop me, and you can raise a hand, and then we can have a discussion as and when a query arises in your mind. Okay. So I hope English is comfortable for all of you. हिंदी में उतना ज़्यादा आई एम नॉट वेरी fluent in it, so I can try कर सकता हूँ थोड़ा सा. So I'll try to make it Hindi English to make it more understandable to all of you. Okay. So healthcare sector is a evergreen sector. First and foremost, we need to understand a health and food, यानी agriculture, food and health. जो भी होने दो दुनिया में, ये तीन सेक्टर्स है ना, यानी हेल्थ सेक्टर, एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर एंड फूड. ये तीन सेक्टर्स तो एवरग्रीन सेक्टर्स है, यानी इसका नेसेसिटी ह्यूमन लाइफ के लिए किधर भी होने दो ह्यूमन बीइंग को, विच एवर पार्ट ऑफ दिस प्लैनेट और दिस अर्थ, उनके लिए खाना तो चाहिए. खाना प्रोडक्शन करने के लिए एग्रीकल्चर चाहिए, और ये because of the issues of either genetic issues or climatic issues or adulteration, food adulteration issues or lifestyle issues, डिजीज तो आएगा ही, है ना। तो डिजीज आए तो डिजीज का ट्रीटमेंट तो चाहिए। डिजीज नए आने के लिए प्रिवेंटिव हेल्थ केयर भी चाहिए, है ना। तो हेल्थ, फूड एंड एग्री, ये नेसेसिटी है। और ये सेक्टर्स, वॉर आने दो, पीस पीस टाइम होने दो, जो भी होने दो, ये 3 सेक्टर्स तो एवरग्रीन सेक्टर्स है। तो इसके वजह से opportunities in these sectors are always available for students. All other sectors are dependent on economic conditions. Yani, say suppose automobile sector is there. Automobile sector in a developed country and a developing country may be very valuable, but a underdeveloped country, automobile sector is of no value, है ना। तो ऐसा other sectors may have opportunities, may not have opportunities, depending on the condition of the world, whereas these 3 sectors are evergreen. So that's the first point I wanted to convey to all of you, that ये evergreen sectors बोलते हैं 3 sectors को, right? Agri in a sense is back end integration. ये word use करते हैं बहुत often industry में, back end integration to food, nutrition and healthcare. क्योंकि जो कुछ न्यूट्रिशन मिलना है वो एग्री से मिलता है। अगर एग्री ठीक से किया नहीं तो न्यूट्रिशन इफेक्ट हो जाती है। अगर न्यूट्रिशन इफेक्ट होती है तो हेल्थ, प्रिवेंटिव हेल्थ केयर दे नहीं पाएंगे, है ना। तो इसीलिए एग्री भी एक्चुअली अ कंपोनेंट ऑफ हेल्थ केयर है। हेल्थ केयर जब हम बोलते हैं ना, ये वर्ड, वो वर्ड 3 थिंग्स एनकम्पास करती है। क्या क्या एनकम्पास होती है उसमें? फार्मास्यूटिकल यानी डिजीज प्रिवेंशन, डिजीज ट्रीटमेंट एंड एग्री, ये तीनों डिजीज प्रिवेंशन में न्यूट्रिशन आ जाती है। एंड मेरे ख्याल में एग्री भी पार्ट ऑफ हेल्थ केयर है। ये तीनों जुड़ा के हेल्थ केयर बोल के बोलते हैं। अगर टेक्नोलॉजिकली हेल्थ केयर को हम डिवाइड किए तो हम उसको मेडिकल सर्विसेज 4 बकेट्स में उसको डाल सकते हैं। मेडिकल सर्विसेज, फार्मास्यूटिकल्स, न्यूट्रा एंड आयुर्वेदिक्स और natural products, and biotechnology. There are 4 buckets. 4 buckets. As of now, the industry is divided. Healthcare industry is divided into, means if I keep the agri aside, if I take the classical healthcare industry, it is divided into 4 buckets: medical services, pharmaceutical sciences, nutra, food, nutra, and phytochemicals. Lastly, the 4th one, biotechnology. These are the 4 buckets in which the industry, or these are the 4 sectors in which the healthcare industry is subdivided as. Medical services includes all kinds of IT also. For example, the clinical wearables. You know, nowadays a lot of wearables are coming. Non-invasive diagnostics are coming, diagnostic purposes. Then all AI and generative AI related healthcare services. It could be predictive service, it could be just a management of the hospital workflow, and so on. And finally, personal medication. ये सब personalized medication, I mean, ये सब medical services के अंदर आ जाता है, right? तो in all these sectors, there is a need for doing innovation. There is an opportunity in all these sectors. अगर हम फार्मा लेंगे, पहला फार्मा ले लेंगे तो इजी हो जाएगा आपको अंडरस्टैंड होने के लिए। फार्मा सेक्टर यानी क्या क्या होती है? डेवलपिंग द ड्रग डिस्कवरी, यानी कितना, हाउ मेनी फील्ड्स आर इन्वॉल्व इन इट, कितना सब्जेक्ट्स इन्वॉल्व है उसमें। वन इज मेकिंग ऑफ द ड्रग डिस्कवरी विषय, यानी कि मेडिसिनल केमिस्ट्री होती है उसमें, बायो इन्फॉर्मेटिक्स होती है, देन मॉलिकुलर डॉकिंग स्टडीज होता है, राइट? सो ऑल द डोमेन एरियाज रिलेटेड टू आईटी and chemistry, organic chemistry predominantly, are involved in drug target identification, drug discovery, right? And then this has to go into experimentation, है ना? So we need all the whole of molecular biology, cell biology, then the in vitro, in vivo studies, the whole lot of life sciences related expertise will be required for doing the studies for the drug that has been designed in silico. See, drug discovery goes this way. First, we do a in silico drug target identification. यानी डिजीज है, डिजीज को हम पहला ईटियोलॉजी बोलते हैं, यानी डिजीज क्यों आया है, कैसा आया है, उसका बायोकेमिकल पाथवे क्या है, फिजियोलॉजिकल रिएक्शंस क्या होता है उसमें, ये सब वी फर्स्ट ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड. उसके लिए भी लॉट ऑफ लाइफ साइंसेस एक्सपर्टाइज इज रिक्वायर्ड. वंस वी अंडरस्टैंड दैट, देन टारगेट आइडेंटिफिकेशन होता है. उसके बाद में इन सिलिको कम्स इन. इन सिलिको यानी पूरा आईटी रिलेटेड वाला बायो इन्फॉर्मेटिक्स इन सिलिको कम्स इन, wherein we identify the target, the druggable targets we call it as. Means these are enzymes which are involved in the biochemical pathway which is causing the disease. Disease का causative biochemical pathways होते हैं ना, वो आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं. उसमें की एंजाइम्स बोलते हैं, यानी रेट लिमिटिंग स्टेप्स आइडेंटिफाई करके उसमें एंजाइम जो होती है वो एंजाइम का स्ट्रक्चर स्टडी करते हैं. पहला एंजाइम इज अ प्रोटीन है ना, तो प्रोटीन का स्ट्रक्चर स्टडी करने के बाद उसमें उसको इनहिबिट करना यानी तो एक्टिवेट करना बोले तो कैसा होती है, वी डू ए इन सिलिको स्टडी. Then we attempt making molecules in silico. All this happens within computer, right? How do we, what will actually either activate or inhibit this target enzyme study करते हैं. उसके बाद में chemist, actual organic chemist comes in, लैब में वो मॉलिक्यूल सिंथेसाइज करता है, एक या नहीं तो 10 डेरिवेटिव्स. ठीक है, वो 10 डेरिवेटिव्स को वो उधर से लाइफ साइंसेस सेक्टर को जाती है. देयर दे विल डू इन विट्रो ट्रायल्स, यानी एंजाइम को पहला कल्चर करते हैं, एंजाइम प्रोड्यूस करते हैं, वो एंजाइम को इन विट्रो ट्रायल्स स्क्रीनिंग मेथोडोलॉजी डेवलप करने के बाद इन विट्रो ट्रायल्स करते हैं. इन विट्रो ट्रायल्स होने के बाद ये 10 या 15 या 80 मॉलिक्यूल से एक या दो बेस्ट एक्टिंग मॉलिक्यूल्स पिक करते हैं. उसको हम एनिमल ट्रायल्स को ले जाते हैं, यानी फार्माकोलॉजी और फार्माकोग्नसी स्टडीज पे जाता है, राइट? तो देयर एनिमल ट्रायल पूरा, देयर एनिमल्स आल्सो यू नो डिफरेंट लेवल्स ऑफ एनिमल ट्रायल्स होती है. वो होने के बाद वी आइडेंटिफाई द मॉलिक्यूल विच इज द बेस्ट एक्टिंग मॉलिक्यूल. फ्रॉम देयर इट गोज टू क्लिनिकल ट्रायल. क्लिनिकल ट्रायल होने के बाद इट गोज बैक टू केमिस्ट्री नाउ फॉर ऑप्टिमाइजिंग द सिंथेटिक पाथवे. प्रोसेस डेवलपमेंट बोलते हैं उसको. हाउ टू मेक इट इन लेस कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव वे, कैसा ये मॉलिक्यूल को डेवलप करना है. तो होल केमिकल प्रोसेस, वो सब फार्मा इंडस्ट्री बोलते हैं ना, सिंथेटिक फार्मास्यूटिकल्स, तो उसका पूरा ऑप्टिमाइज होता है, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को जाता है. मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को जाने के बाद साइमल्टेनियसली फार्मास्यूटिक्स कम्स इन, यानी डिलीवरी कैसा होना चाहिए. ये ओरल देना है, सब क्लिनिकल यानी सबक्यूटिनियस देना है, स्किन पैच के जैसे देना है, इंट्रावीनस देना है, इंट्रामस्कुलर देना है, राइट? सो मेनी वेज ऑफ गिविंग ए मेडिसिन टू गो विद इन द बॉडी. तो ये सब फार्मास्यूटिक्स वाले वो स्टडी करेंगे. वो स्टडी होने के बाद वो डिलीवरी मेथोडोलॉजी, अभी बहुत सारे डिलीवरी मेथोडोलॉजी आया है, टारगेट स्पेसिफिक डिलीवरी, ये सब. आई एम नॉट टचिंग ऑन ऑल दैट. आई एम गिविंग यू ओवरव्यू ऑफ विच आर द सब्जेक्ट्स दैट आर इन्वॉल्व्ड इन ड्रग डेवलपमेंट. इसीलिए ये पूरा क्विकली एक्सप्लेन कर रहा हूँ. तो वो होने के बाद ड्रग डिलीवरी मैकेनिज्म अंडरस्टैंड होने के बाद उसके लिए टैबलेट कैसा करना है, टैबलेट कितना जल्दी डिसइंटीग्रेट होना है, कितना किधर डिसइंटीग्रेट होना है, ये सब बेस करके फार्मास्यूटिक्स वाले टैबलेट बनाने का मेथोडोलॉजी डेवलप करेंगे, या टैबलेट है ना तो कैप्सूल बनाने का मेथोडोलॉजी डेवलप करेंगे। तो ये मॉलिक्यूल सिंथेसाइज हो गया है, वो सिंथेटिक एपीआई बोलते हैं उसको, एक्टिव फार्मास्यूटिकल इंग्रेडिएंट, उसको टैबलेट या कैप्सूल या इंजेक्शन को बना देते हैं, यानी फॉर्मुलेट होता है। वो फॉर्मुलेट होने के बाद तब वो रेडी फॉर गोइंग टू मार्केट। अभी मार्केट वाले पूरा प्ले में आ जाते हैं, यानी medical representatives, they are also a part of healthcare only, this is all medical services, medical representatives आते हैं। उसके लिए क्या क्या सब्जेक्ट्स चाहिए, उनको थोड़ा फार्मा अंडरस्टैंड होना चाहिए, यानी ड्रग दिया है, ये टैबलेट दिया है, वो टैबलेट के बारे में कुछ तो उनको पता होना चाहिए, यानी साइंस थोड़ा अंडरस्टैंड होना चाहिए। और वो जाके डॉक्टर को वो साइंस बताएगा, वो एडवांटेजेस बताएगा और सेल्स भी करेगा, राइट। तो ये मैनेजमेंट, सेल्स, मार्केटिंग पीपल विल कम इन, राइट। ये सब द होल इंडस्ट्री मैनेज करने के लिए एमबीए लोग चाहिए, फाइनेंस लोग चाहिए, ये सब। तो आप एक खाली एक मेडिसिन के लिए देखें तो कितना सब्जेक्ट्स इन्वॉल्व हुआ है। तो जो ऐसा नहीं है कि खाली साइंस या नहीं तो बी फार्म और एम फार्म और डी फार्म किया तो ही हम फार्मा में जा सकते हैं बोल के आप लिमिट करना, आपका अंडरस्टैंडिंग रॉन्ग है। आप साइंस करके, बीएससी करके, केमिस्ट्री करके, फिजिक्स करके, मैथमेटिक्स करके, नहीं तो कंप्यूटर साइंस करने के बाद, नहीं तो लाइफ साइंसेस करने के बाद, जो भी हो, क्योंकि सब सब्जेक्ट्स इन्वॉल्व हुआ है एक ड्रग डिस्कवरी पाथवे में, इंक्लूडिंग फाइनेंस, अकाउंटिंग, मार्केटिंग, बिजनेस स्ट्रेटजी, बिजनेस डेवलपमेंट, सब कुछ इन्वॉल्व है। तो ऐसा नहीं कि मैं क्या पढ़ा हूँ ये कनेक्टेड है या नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है उसमें, उसका ज़्यादा वरी होने का ज़रूरत भी नहीं है। वो परंतु उसका फार्मा इंडस्ट्री का थोड़ा पढ़ना चाहिए। हाउ डू वी गेट इन, हाउ डू आई मेक यूज ऑफ माई नॉलेज इन फार्मा इंडस्ट्री, राइट। तो सम एंड सब्सटेंस ऑफ दिस फर्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ डिस्कशन इज, आपको क्या बताना चाहता हूँ समराइज करने के लिए, ये कौन सा सब्जेक्ट से मैं डिग्री ले आऊँ इज नॉट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। जो भी हो, आपका सब्जेक्ट नॉलेज अच्छा होना चाहिए, पहला पॉइंट। वो होने के बाद इसको कैसा फार्मा में अप्लाई करते हैं, किधर अप्लाई होता है वो देख लेना चाहिए। अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट एप्लीकेशन यू कैन अप्लाई टू दैट रेस्पेक्टिव इंडस्ट्री। फॉर एग्जाम्पल डॉक्टर रेड्डीज है, ये डॉक्टर रेड्डीज में ड्रग डिस्कवरी चलता है, तो आप जो केमिस्ट्री वाले, बायोसाइंस वाले, कंप्यूटर साइंस वाले सब लोग अप्लाई कर सकते हैं, राइट। अभी इसमें बायोटेक्नोलॉजी भी इन्वॉल्व है, क्योंकि बायोटेक्नोलॉजी यानी माइक्रोबियल बायोटेक्नोलॉजी, स्क्रीनिंग, पूरा माइक्रोबियल स्क्रीनिंग प्रोसेस भी चाहिए। फर्मेंटेशन टेक्नोलॉजी भी इन्वॉल्व है, क्योंकि आजकल बायोसिमिलर्स बोलते हैं, सब मेडिसिन खाली मॉलिक्यूल्स नहीं है, बड़ा बड़ा मॉलिक्यूल्स भी है, यानी प्रोटीन मॉलिक्यूल्स भी आजकल मेडिसिन के जैसे, प्रोटीन्स, आरएनए, ये सब मेडिकेशन, वैक्सीन्स, ये सब मेडिकेशन के जैसा दे जा रहे हैं ना। इसीलिए वो डेवलप करने के लिए, उसको सिंथेसाइज या मैन्युफैक्चर करने के लिए बायो प्रोसेसिंग चाहिए, यानी फर्मेंटेशन टेक्नोलॉजी, राइट। तो फर्मेंटेशन टेक्नोलॉजी करने वाले जो बायोटेक्नोलॉजी किया है वो भी अप्लाई कर सकते हैं। तो खाली इतना ही आप स्टूडेंट्स को बताना चाहिए, आप में जो फैकल्टी है उनके लिए ये बोल रहा हूँ, आप खाली वो कोरिलेट करना चाहिए, मैं क्या पढ़ा हूँ, इसका यूटिलिटी फार्मा में किधर होता है देख लेना चाहिए। वो काम करने वाले इंडस्ट्रीज क्या क्या है, वो इंडस्ट्रीज को एप्लीकेशन जा सकता है, ठीक है। तो दैट इज हाउ फार्मा इज। अगर स्टूडेंट्स है आप में, तो आपको, आई होप यू हैव अंडरस्टूड व्हाट आई हैव टोल्ड, कोरिलेट व्हाट यू हैव लर्न्ड टू which part of the pharma industry is it applied, which are the companies which are working in that area, and applications can go there. So yani every there's no restriction. Pharma industry takes everybody, right from computer science to finance, all sciences, everybody is a part of pharma industry. Okay? Then comes the medical services, another very, very big industry in healthcare. What is medical services? Right from doctor, yani physician, surgeon, clinician, right, to nurses, nursing help, right, to the whole lot of diagnostic labs, यानी पूरा ब्लड टेस्टिंग यानी तो रेडियोलॉजी, पूरा डायग्नोस्टिक लैब्स. देन कम्स द होल लॉट ऑफ आईटी, क्योंकि हॉस्पिटल वर्कफ्लो मैनेजमेंट इज अ बिग 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 आईटी. बहुत सारे मल्टीनेशनल कंपनीज इन्वॉल्व है ये हॉस्पिटल वर्कफ्लो मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम्स डेवलप करने के लिए. यानी पेशेंट जब एंटर होता है उसका डिटेल्स लेना है, वो डॉक्टर को जाना है, डॉक्टर जो है उसको प्रिस्क्रिप्शन दिया है यानी तो डायग्नोस किया है वो भी रिकॉर्ड हो जाना चाहिए, उधर से क्या क्या ऑपरेशन हुआ है वो भी रिकॉर्ड हो जाना चाहिए. सब कुछ ये वर्क फ्लो एज अ फ्लो इट हैज टू बी मेंटेन्ड फॉर ईच ऑफ द पेशेंट हु एंटर्स द हॉस्पिटल, है ना. आजकल इनफैक्ट आयुष्मान भारत में गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया क्या सोच रही है कि सब एवरी इंडिविजुअल के लिए एक मेडिकल रिकॉर्ड होना चाहिए, यानी राइट फ्रॉम बर्थ क्या क्या मेडिसिन लिया है, कब लिया है, क्यों लिया है, क्या उसका डायग्नोसिस हुआ है, सब कुछ एक मेडिकल हिस्ट्री के जैसे एक एक इंडिविजुअल को ये रहना चाहिए. दिस इज वन मेगा प्रोजेक्ट दैट इज बीइंग टेकन अप, राइट. उसमें लॉट ऑफ आईटी पीपल विल बी इन्वॉल्व्ड, लॉट ऑफ आईटी कंपनीज आर गेटिंग इन्वॉल्व्ड इन दिस, क्योंकि मेडिकल हिस्ट्री मेंटेन करना उतना इजी नहीं है, राइट. ये इसके लिए ये करने से बहुत सारे बेनिफिट्स है. आई एम नॉट गोइंग इनटू दोज बेनिफिट्स पार्ट, बट बिकॉज द डिस्कशन इज, एज आई अंडरस्टैंड डॉक्टर प्रतिमा व्हाट शी हैड टोल्ड मी इज मोर टू गिव यू एन आइडिया ऑफ what are the job opportunities in these sectors. So इसीलिए इसका एडवांटेज क्या है, एडवांटेज है या नहीं है, ये सब डिस्कशन अभी तो मैं कर रहा हूँ. इतना तो आपको बताना चाहता हूँ कि बहुत सारा आईटी इंडस्ट्रीज इसमें जुड़ा हुआ है, मेडिकल सर्विसेज में बहुत सारे. एंड क्लिनिकल वेरेबल्स बोलते हैं ना हम, यानी जो आजकल वॉचेस आ रहे हैं जो आपको कितना वॉकिंग किया है, कितना स्टेप्स लिया है बता देती है, ब्लड प्रेशर बताते हैं, डिजॉल्व ऑक्सीजन बताते हैं, पल्स रेट बताते हैं, सब कुछ ऑन द स्पॉट धनाधन आप रीड आउट कर सकते हैं, है ना. ये आजकल ये वेरेबल कनेक्ट कर रहे हैं किसको, आपका डॉक्टर के साथ यानी तो आपका हॉस्पिटल के साथ ये कनेक्ट हो जा रहा है. तो उनको ये कनेक्शन, ये इंफॉर्मेशन जाना है, वो इन रिटर्न आपको ऑन टाइम रियल टाइम आपको डायरेक्शन देना है. आजकल इंसुलिन इन पैचेस आ रहे हैं जो ब्लड शुगर आपको एनालाइज करता है रियल टाइम में, वो इंसुलिन आपको कितना चाहिए उतना ब्लड के अंदर जाता है, इंजेक्ट हो जाता है. तो इंसुलिन पैचेस आ रहे हैं, वो इंसुलिन पैचेस मैनेज करने के लिए बैक एंड बहुत सारे आईटी सर्विसेज चाहिए, राइट. तो medical services nowadays, earlier it was only doctors, nurses and paramedics, that was medical services earlier. आजकल medical services यानी it has become too very vast, extremely vast. The whole of IT, in fact 30% of IT sector works on medical services. 30% यानी 1/3 of whole of IT industry works on medical services. उतना opportunity है इसमें. देन उसके क्लासिकल वंस तो कैसे भी है, यानी पूरा डायग्नोस्टिक लैब्स, डॉक्टर्स, नर्स, पैरामेडिक्स एंड नर्सेस, ये तो ये अपॉर्चुनिटीज तो कैसे भी है, राइट. तो मेडिकल सर्विसेज इज अनदर वेरी 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 बिग सेक्टर इन हेल्थ केयर. तो अपार्ट फ्रॉम फार्मा, another big sector which is growing sector is medical services. इसमें lot of innovations भी हो सकता है. Then another very fast growing sector is preventive healthcare. Actually ये मेडिकल सर्विसेज और फार्मा को कनेक्ट जुड़ा हुआ है, बट आजकल उसको सेपरेट मानते हैं लोग। यानी ये प्रिवेंटिव हेल्थ केयर, न्यूट्रासिटिकल्स और न्यूट्रिशन बारे में आजकल बहुत सारे न्यूट्रिशन क्लिनिक्स आ रहे हैं। आप देखे होंगे डॉक्टर्स खाली न्यूट्रिशनिस्ट है। न्यूट्रिशन इज ए वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट साइंस, लॉट ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं। यानी आप डॉक्टर एमबीबीएस होने का जरूरत भी नहीं है। अगर आप न्यूट्रिशन पढ़े हैं, आप एक क्लिनिक लगा सकते हैं और लोग को क्या खाना है, क्या नहीं खाना है, कैसा खाना है, कब खाना है, क्या लाइफस्टाइल चाहिए आपको डिजीज मैनेजमेंट के लिए, डिजीज रिवर्सल के लिए, डिजीज रिलैप्स नहीं होने के लिए, ये सब आजकल न्यूट्रिशनिस्ट इज बिकमिंग ए ह्यूज अपॉर्चुनिटी। और ये बहुत अच्छा अपॉर्चुनिटी भी है, क्योंकि न्यूट्रिशन इज प्रिवेंटिव हेल्थ केयर। एक्चुअली न्यूट्रिशन इज क्लोज टू आयुर्वेदा, what our ancients used to talk about. घर में एक्चुअली ग्रैंड मदर्स बताते थे अर्लियर क्या खाना है, क्या नहीं खाना है, पेट अच्छा नहीं है तो ये मत खाओ, ये खाओ, राइट। ये सब अर्लियर टाइम में हमारे घर में हमारा पिताजी ने तो ग्रैंड मदर्स मदर बताते थे। आजकल वो नॉलेज चला गया, इसीलिए एक न्यूट्रिशनिस्ट डॉक्टर चाहिए, एक न्यूट्रिशन क्लिनिक चाहिए, राइट। एंड ये ग्रोइंग इंडस्ट्री है। इफ यू गो टू मुंबई, दिल्ली, these places न्यूट्रिशन क्लिनिक्स आर बिकमिंग क्रेज। आजकल सेलिब्रिटीज ज़्यादा यूज़ कर रहे हैं इसको, यानी अपना ये फिल्म इंडस्ट्री वाले और बड़ा बड़ा इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट यूज़ कर रहे हैं, बट स्लोली it will come down to everybody, common man also. This nutrition clinics will become a reality, right? So nutrition is a very very good opportunity, huge opportunity, and lot of good can be done. The reason is it is preventive health care. डिजीज आने का जरूरत क्या है? क्यों हम वेट करना चाहिए डिजीज आने के लिए? आने के बाद उसको मैनेज करने के सिवा why not we help people not to be diseased? डिजीज होने का जरूरत ही नहीं है बोल के क्यों नहीं उनको बता सकते हैं? तो कैसा उसको मैनेज करना है? इट्स ऑल इन लाइफस्टाइल, एंड लाइफस्टाइल यानी एक्सरसाइजेस, योगा। आजकल ये प्रिवेंटिव हेल्थ केयर में अनदर डायमेंशन इज योगा क्लिनिक्स। बहुत सारे योगा क्लिनिक, आपको एस आशा बोल के एक यूनिवर्सिटी है इन बैंगलोर, आप वो सुने होंगे। पूरा इसका ही वो कोर्सेस भी यही देती है। उसमें तो योगा कोर्सेस है, व्हाट इज दैट, नेचुरोथेरेपी कोर्सेस है, यूनानी कोर्सेस है, और व्हाट इज दैट, कायाकल्पा कोर्सेस, ऑयल मसाज कोर्सेस, ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ प्रिवेंटिव हेल्थ केयर कोर्स, न्यूट्रिशन कोर्स, ये सब बहुत दिस इज ग्रोइंग। क्योंकि सब लोग को अब अभी मेरे ख्याल में आप जो अभी अटेंड हो रहे हैं आपको भी पता होगा, ये सब हम सब लोग कर रहे हैं आजकल। वॉकिंग कर रहे हैं, योगासनास कर रहे हैं। योगासनास में तो जिम को जाते हैं, योगासनास इज अनदर फॉर्म ऑफ जिम इन एसेंस, राइट। तो ये सब तो आजकल सबको अवेयरनेस आ गया है कि एक्सरसाइज करना ही चाहिए, खाना भी देख के खाना चाहिए, है ना। तो इसके लिए बहुत सारे कोर्सेज भी आया है, इसको साइंटिफिक बनाने के लिए, इसको ठीक से सबको अंडरस्टैंड होने के लिए। तो ये कोर्सेज में भी बहुत सारा अपॉर्चुनिटीज है। आप बच्चे लोग को बता सकते हैं, आपका फ्रेंड्स को भी बता सकते हैं, बहुत अपॉर्चुनिटी है। प्रिवेंटिव हेल्थ केयर इज ए ग्रोइंग इंडस्ट्री एज मच एज फार्मा से भी मेरे ख्याल में ये बढ़ जाएगा फ्यूचर में। फ्यूचरिस्टिकली इफ यू सी, preventive healthcare industry is going to grow leaps and bounds. So this is another very very good opportunity, extremely good opportunity. उसमें थर्ड कंपोनेंट है, तो पहला कंपोनेंट है आपको न्यूट्रिशन, सेकंड कंपोनेंट है द लाइफस्टाइल, योगा थेरेपीज एंड ऑल दैट, एंड देन थर्ड कंपोनेंट है आपको न्यूट्रासिटिकल्स आल्सो इज ग्रोइंग इंडस्ट्री नाउ. So nutraceuticals, few companies, they are growing now. Almost, in fact, all big companies have also started a Nutra wing. Dr. Reddy's has started, Cipla has started, Zydus has started. All of them have started Nutra wing also. All pharma companies are moving to Nutra also. So Nutra is another very, very big opportunity. Nutraceuticals, which are actually components of food, predominantly food or natural products given as supplements. So this is basically a supplement industry. Pharma is medicine industry, ये सप्लीमेंट इंडस्ट्री है. सप्लीमेंट्स आजकल आपको पता होगा, जो क्लासिकल सप्लीमेंट्स थे खाली विटामिन और मिनरल्स थे अर्लियर, है ना. आजकल आपको सुपर बाजार में गए तो आपको कर्क्यूमिन दिखता है, क्वर्सेटीन दिखता है ना. आपको विटामिन सी के साथ और कुछ जुड़ा होता है ना. तो बहुत सारे सप्लीमेंट्स आपको आजकल, तुलसी, पंच तुलसी दिखता है, राइट. तो बहुत सारे सप्लीमेंट्स आपको आजकल इंडस्ट्री में आ रहा है. वो भी ग्रोइंग सेक्टर है, वो इनफैक्ट कंपीटिंग सेक्टर विद फार्मा है. फार्मा कितना ग्रोथ है उसमें, उससे भी ज़्यादा ग्रोथ कोई लोग बोलते हैं कि प्रिवेंटिव हेल्थ केयर में होगा एंड ये सप्लीमेंट सेक्शन में होगा. तो प्रिवेंटिव हेल्थ केयर में 3 बकेट्स है, राइट. आपको समराइज करना है, यानी प्रिवेंटिव हेल्थ केयर में 3 है. वो 3 क्या क्या होते हैं? एक तो आपको न्यूट्रिशन होती है, राइट. न्यूट्रिशन के लिए आजकल बहुत सारे कोर्सेज भी मिल रहा है. सेकंड, दूसरा वाला होता है ऑल्टरनेट मेडिकेशन, यानी योगा थेरेपी एंड ऑल दिस, राइट. ऑल्टरनेट प्रिवेंटिव स्ट्रेटजीज, लाइफस्टाइल. एंड द थर्ड वन इज सप्लीमेंट, ओटीसी और न्यूट्रासिटिकल डोमेन. ये तीनों आर दी अपॉर्चुनिटीज इन न्यूट्रा और प्रिवेंटिव हेल्थ केयर. Then lastly in healthcare, the fourth bucket happens to be biotechnology. Biotechnology runs through all the 3 sectors that I have told you: medical services sector, pharma sector, and nutra sector. All 3 sectors utilize biotechnology as a service. Biotechnology, is a very big word, right? Microbiology biotechnology है, fermentation biotechnology है, immunology biotechnology है, right? All immuno studies are all related to biotechnology, है ना. The whole of virology, आजकल कोविड के बाद virology is big subject, वो भी biotechnology है, right? आपको ये bioprocess यानी production of all this immunologicals, biological E बोलते हैं ना, वो सब बायोटेक्नोलॉजी है. वैक्सीन प्रोडक्शन ऑफ वैक्सीन बायोटेक्नोलॉजी है, राइट. तो बायोटेक्नोलॉजी इज ए वेरी वेरी बिग वर्ड, जस्ट लाइक लाइफ साइंसेस. बहुत सारे कोर्सेस है बायोटेक्नोलॉजी में, उसको ब्रेक डाउन किया तो बायोकेमिस्ट्री भी पार्ट ऑफ बायोटेक्नोलॉजी है ना. तो ऑल ऑफ दीज आर वेरी वेरी वैल्यूएबल. ऑल ऑफ दीज आर यूज्ड एक्सटेंसिवली इन हेल्थ केयर. तो biotechnology may be, and in fact biotechnology also is used extensively in agri में भी आजकल biostimulants बोल के, यानी नेचर फ्रेंडली, इको फ्रेंडली क्रॉप न्यूट्रिशन, क्रॉप प्रोटेक्शन, ये सब आजकल बहुत एंकरेजमेंट मिल रहा है. उसको मैन्युफैक्चर करने के लिए बायोटेक्नोलॉजी चाहिए. तो बायोटेक्नोलॉजी इज कटिंग अक्रॉस हेल्थ केयर and agri sector too, right? So biotechnology में much broad, and biotechnology nowadays is also being used for material science. So जो biotechnology करता है उसको स्कोप ज़्यादा है. वो खाली फोकस करना चाहिए. स्टूडेंट्स को आप ये बताना चाहिए कि वो इस डायरेक्शन में जाना है, उनको वो स्पेशलाइजेशन वो डायरेक्शन में करना होगा, ठीक है. तो these are the 4 buckets that are there in healthcare, apart from what is coming up, which is AI, generative AI related healthcare management. That's a upcoming field leading to, their goal is personalized medicine, where genetics, by the way, genetics also is part of biotechnology, है ना. तो माइक्रोबायोम बोलते हैं ना, गट माइक्रोबायोम, स्क्रीनिंग ऑफ गट माइक्रोबायोम, ये सब भी हो रहा है. ऑल दिस इज पार्ट ऑफ पर्सनलाइज्ड मेडिसिन के लिए हो रहा है. तो दिस इज बाय एंड लार्ज द ओवरव्यू ऑफ व्हाट आर द अपॉर्चुनिटीज इन हेल्थ केयर एंड हाउ द इंडस्ट्री, healthcare industry is growing. I have still not touched on actually agri. वो बहुत बड़ा डिस्कशन होगा, बट एग्री ऑल्सो देयर इज लॉट ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी. तो दीज आर द इंडस्ट्रीज, मीन्स यानी ये सेक्टर में बहुत सारा अपॉर्चुनिटी है. एंड ऑलमोस्ट ऐसा नहीं कि ये स्पेशलाइजेशन किया तो ही ये इंडस्ट्री में जा सकता हूँ बोल के कुछ है नहीं. आपका पैशन होना चाहिए. मैं मेरा फेलो इंडिविजुअल्स को अच्छा हेल्प देने के लिए क्या कर सकता हूँ, ये आपका इनिशियल थॉट प्रोसेस होना चाहिए. Then you will see opportunity is there no matter what subject a person reads. In fact, to tell you, even language जो करता है ना, खाली BA इंग्लिश या हिंदी या रीजनल लैंग्वेज करता है, उसको भी अपॉर्चुनिटी है. क्योंकि क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स में ना एक फैक्टर होती है, क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स में कंसेंट फॉर्म बोलते हैं. यानी जो पेशेंट को हम क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स में इंडक्ट कर रहे हैं ना, उसको उससे कंसेंट लेना चाहिए. वो कंसेंट फॉर्म, वो जो ये लॉ ये ऐसा है कि वो कंसेंट फॉर्म उस जो इंडिविजुअल से बात कर रहे हैं ना, पेशेंट से, उसका मदर टंग में होना चाहिए. इंग्लिश में कंसेंट फॉर्म देना मना है. जो उसका मदर टंग है वो पेशेंट का, वो मदर टंग में ही वो कंसेंट फॉर्म देना चाहिए. तो मदर टंग में साइंटिफिक कंसेंट फॉर्म बनाना एक एक्सपर्ट लैंग्वेज पर्सन को एम्प्लॉय करते हैं. ठीक है. तो इवन लैंग्वेज, जो लैंग्वेज में स्पेशलाइजेशन करता है, उनको भी अपॉर्चुनिटी है हेल्थ केयर में. तो ऐसा नहीं कि क्या सब्जेक्ट, फंडामेंटली मैं बोलता हूँ ना, मेरा लाइफ में मैं देखा हूँ, क्या सब्जेक्ट पढ़ा है इज नॉट इम्पॉर्टेंट एट ऑल. कितना अच्छा से पढ़ा है, कितना अंडरस्टैंडिंग हुआ है, कितना सिंसियर है पर्सन, उससे सब अपॉर्चुनिटीज मिल जाएगा. इंटेंशन अच्छा होना चाहिए. मैं कुछ करना चाहिए सोसाइटी के लिए, मैं कुछ अच्छा करना चाहिए सोसाइटी के लिए. ये इंटेंशन अगर आप में है, और आप स्टूडेंट्स को, आप यानी तो फ्रेंड्स को ये इंटेंशन उनमें लगा दिए, तो यानी उनमें इंफ्यूज किया है, तो राइट, 100% अपॉर्चुनिटी आ जाएगा, जरूर आ जाएगा. ऑल दिस आई हैव स्पोकन इज एग्जिस्टिंग इंडस्ट्री. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस, यू नो, स्टार्टअप्स कितना अपॉर्चुनिटी में है हेल्थ केयर और एग्री में, बता भी नहीं सकता हूँ. स्टार्टअप्स के लिए उतना अपॉर्चुनिटीज है. तो अगर ये सब एग्जिस्टिंग इंडस्ट्री में जॉब के लिए एप्लीकेशन है जो मैं बात किया हूँ, अगर हो सकता है इंडिविजुअल को उनको उन स्टार्टअप उनको इनिशिएट करना चाहिए, बहुत सारे अपॉर्चुनिटीज है. ठीक है. So with this I'll close. I hope I have covered most of the things that Dr. Pratima wanted me to. So thank you all for giving this wonderful opportunity. Thank you. कुछ questions है आप पूछ सकते हैं.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Participants have any questions, so you can ask.
ठीक है then. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Right.
Sir, there's one thing I have to share
Yeah.
to everyone. Like 3 days back, I was surfing over LinkedIn, and I saw your post in the feed
Mm.
that you were attending some healthcare summit.
Yeah.
So I didn't know कि मुझे ये opportunity मिलेगी आपसे interact करने की. I sent you a connection request also.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Sure. I'll
thank
get.
you so much for accepting my invitation and giving us this opportunity to hear from you and to learn something new from your experience. So, thank you so much, Sai. Thank you
Right.
so much. Pratima ma'am, are you there? Participants, please wait. Our next speaker is joining us in 5 minutes.
Dear students, please wait. The second speaker is about to join. So, hello, hello.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
The second speaker is about to join. Ask everybody to wait. Yes, you can hear me.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, Bindu, the second is expert of the day, has joined. You can introduce her and then we can start the session.
Okay.
Over to you.
Okay, so our next speaker has joined. So, before any further delay, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Sai Bindu. She is currently working as a clinical data specialist at Equia Bangalore with over 3.5 years of experience in clinical data management. Ms. Bindu completed her master's in bioscience from the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, which is a foundation that has equipped her with both academic excellence and a strong sense of purpose. She began her professional journey as a trainee clinical data coordinator, gradually rising through the ranks to her content role. At Equia, she has worked extensively on both startups and conduct phase of data management, gaining hands-on experience in multiple facets of the field. Over time, she has transitioned into the project management responsibilities as well as showcasing her leadership and commitment to quality and precision. We are truly delighted to have her share her insights with us today. Over to you, ma'am.
Bindu, you can switch on your
Yeah.
webcam.
hope everyone can see me or hear me. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Um, so this is Bindu. So, as the introduction has gone, I'm currently working as a clinical data specialist at IQAA Bangalore. So, I've taken. I'm like I'm. This session is all about uh, what is clinical research, what is clinical data management, and how can you get into different roles in clinical research or clinical data management. Okay, so and what type of skills you require, and what is it all about? What do you need to learn and what do you need to do in that? Okay, so okay, first let me get into my PowerPoint. Can I know the kind of audience I'm addressing to? Like, since the count is very less, I would like to know each one of you, what, I mean, uh, what field or what field are you into, or what are you currently pursuing? Can each one of you unmute yourself and say and just introduce yourself? Like, what field are you into? What are you pursuing currently, so that I can address the gathering in a better way. So I can adjust your needs according to your fields and according to your. No one is ready.
Okay, ma'am. Starting from myself. So
Yeah.
I'm Yash, and I'm currently pursuing masters in botany.
Okay. Okay. You can mention your college also. That is also fine.
From University of Allahabad. It's in UP.
Fine. Who goes next? Bhumi.
Umi, please unmute yourself. Just a basic intro.
Yeah, just basic intro. Just what are you pursuing it? I just want to know like what kind of crowd I'm addressing to. Okay. That's good.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes,
Uh,
ma'am.
I'm Mohammad Huzafa.
Hmm.
I'm pursuing my bachelor's in zoology from Aligarh Muslim University.
Okay. You are in which year of bachelor's?
I'm in third year.
Okay. Yes, what about you? You are in which year of your?
I'm first year. Second year is going to start now.
Okay, fine. The next one. Just a small introduction. I just want to know like are you all into biotech or botany or any bioscience background? Right. I hope
Mostly are
everyone.
from biotech. Mostly are from biotech.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Okay. Let me go ahead. Uh, Let me present my screen. Okay. Yeah. I hope all of you can see my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I can't directly address to clinical data management because it is a part of clinical research. Okay, so it's just a one step in the whole process of clinical research. So I have put forward the clinical research along with the data management. Okay, so that I've thought it will be so that I'll be addressing more amount of opportunities for you guys. Okay, so like if I'm addressing clinical data management, I'll be addressing only one type of job as a data manager. Okay, but if I'm taking care of this clinical research, you will get to know a different type of roles as a clinical research associate, as a regulatory affairs, as a data management professional, as a SAS programmer. A lot of things involve into clinical research. Okay, so this is about me, as Ish has already introduced. Okay, so I done masters from SSHL, and I have 3.5 years of experience in clinical data management. I'm currently working at IQVIA. So, and coming to the clinical data management, as I've already told, it is part of clinical research industry. So, when I say clinical research industry, so what do you understand about it? So, what is clinical research? Like, why do we even do that? Okay, so it is a process that you do before the drug is introduced into the market. Okay, so if you see the definition of it, it says it refers to the entire process of studying and writing about a drug. The drug can be a medical device also, or a form of treatment. It can be a vaccine, it can be a drug, it can be a medical device. Okay, so all of these things you will consider it as drug, or yeah, you will consider it as a drug, and you do the clinical trial. Okay, which includes conducting interventional studies like clinical trials or observational studies on human participants. Okay, so now coming to the why we do clinical research. Okay, so there is this drug development process. So when a drug has been discovered in the lab. Okay, so when you discover a drug in the lab, the first step that you're going to do is preclinical research. So like then a huge amount of compounds you will be discovering. Okay, you do preclinical research. So on what you will do preclinical research, you do preclinical research on animals like a rabbit, a rat, on that type of research. You call it as preclinical research. Okay, once the compound successfully crosses that preclinical research, and it is successful in those animals before it goes into humans, then you go into the clinical research. So in clinical research, basically the research you do on humans. Okay, so until now you have been doing like until preclinical research period, I mean in the step, you'll be doing it on animals. Okay, so after that you start trying it on humans. Only if it works on animals, you will go to the next step of clinical research, where you will try it on humans. Okay, so that step is called as clinical research. Okay, and you call those trials as clinical research trials. Okay, so these are very complicated because it involves humans, right? So it involves a lot of data, it involves a lot of informed consent that you need to take before you administer the drug to them. You need to There are kind of regulatory authorities, there are kind of ethical authorities which are in place before you start a clinical trial. Okay, so this is a very complicated process. Unlike the preclinical research or the drug discovery, clinical research is a very complicated process, and it involves a lot of systems, a lot of time, a lot of people. Okay, so that's the reason why it involves a lot of job opportunities also. It opens up a lot of job opportunities. Okay, there are different types of jobs in clinical research that opens up. Like when you go to preclinical research, the same researcher who had discovered the drug, he can as well do the preclinical research. He can as well administer it to the animals and see if it is working. But when it comes to the clinical research, it is not the same. It involves a lot of things. It involves the regulatory authorities, it involves the ethics and humans and the consent, and a lot of steps and management, and uh, different types of things will be involved in the clinical research. So in the clinical research, when they do the human trials, and when they put it on humans, so the data that they collect during see, when you put it on human, it's not the same as animals, like, right? Because the humans can talk and they can say, see, if you put a drug in them, and they can say, I feel like this, I feel better, I feel worse, I feel painful, I feel this way, I feel nauseous. There are different types of things they can say, or they can say, after I have taken drug, I am feeling this way. So there are a lot of things that they can express. So that's the reason why you have a lot of data management that is required during clinical research. Okay, so that's when the clinical data management comes into picture, which is a very crucial part. Okay, so like when you take a data from human, and when it goes to the data manager, he cleans the data, make sure that the final data that you get after a clinical trial, it goes to the regulatory authorities. Okay, so they will be approving the drug. Okay, only once it gets approved, it will get released into the market. Okay, so clinical research is the biggest step during drug development process. Okay, so I think now you understand what is clinical research and how clinical data management comes into picture during drug discovery, and how you are indirectly, helping, to have a better health system around the globe. Okay, so basically you are part of a very big process, right? It's not a small one where you're being involved in a vaccine production or in a vaccine release. Okay, unless you give a proper type of data or you do a proper type of clinical trial, it's not going to get released. Unless you do some mistake, and that will get affected outside when the drug goes outside, right? So it's a very critical process, right? So now coming into the what are the different types departments in clinical research you have. Okay, now first you will have clinical operations, so where they do the trial. Okay, so they where do you think they do the clinical trials? So they do it in hospitals or a separate sites they keep for clinical trials. Okay, so in those sites or in those hospitals, the people will come and they'll get the drug administered as per the timings. Okay, this is all a very what do I say, it's a very systematic process, very systematic process. Okay, you'll have you will have the timelines when the drug needs to be administered, at what time it needs to be administered to the patient. Okay. So the clinical operations, it involves the site or hospitals where the drug will be administered to the patient, and they will be overlooked. Okay, sometimes the patient will stay in the hospital to overlook the reactions, or to overlook them, to look at the kind of how the drug is working. And sometimes they can as well go home and provide updates on telecommunication. Okay, so the clinical operations is about the site where the activity of administering the drug and taking the samples, lab samples, and that all happens. So the next type of department is clinical data management. As I've already told, the data that the sites will collect in the clinical operations area where the patients go. Okay, so they collected the data and they will send it to the data management people, because they have collected. Yes, they have collected. So for example, you have a patient who has got a fever. You said he has got a high fever, and down you have mentioned the temperature as 97. And how can you, like, see, look at that, you have mentioned high fever, it means it's above the normal range. You are saying that it's above the normal range, but you are mentioning that below the temperature range. So that kind of, it's a human error that they have done, right? So that kind of errors and that kind of discrepancies a data manager identifies. Okay, so the data manager needs to have a complete idea of both both clinical background, medical background, like the terminology, little terminology of medical, you need to know. As a biotechnology or zoology or whatever background, as a bio background students, we all will have idea about that. So that's the reason why they consider us for the clinical data management jobs or clinical operations jobs. Okay, so data management means it's not much into data people, like, or data science people, or anyone who is into data science or data analytics or something. They want us because we will have idea of clinical data, right? If they have mentioned the same thing, a data engineer or a data science student, he'll not be able to identify what's the issue that there, but we could identify. Okay, so that's about clinical data management, where you clean, where you review, where you validate the data, and finalize it that this is the right data. Okay, you will be validating the data. Okay, and database programming. So this is a different step in clinical research, like, how do I say, uh, this the clinical, where the I mean the clinical operation site where they enter the data. It's not always on paper they put the data. They don't always put the data on paper. They will have a particular database. Okay, they will have particular sites, they will have particular database itself. They will have a separate database. Okay, so when we work, we will also work on the database as a data manager. So that database needs to be programmed by someone. Okay, so that involves database programming. You need to make a database for the clinical operations people to enter the data, right? So that is database programming. So little bit of you need to have an idea about programming for this. Okay, so that is database programming. So clinical SAS. So SAS programming is a different thing. It involves it depends on database. Okay, and the data. So I won't be able to clearly explain you SAS unless you know a lot about clinical operations and data management. It's a SAS is also programming. Okay, it's a clinical SAS programming. Okay, and biostatistics. Okay, what does the biostatistics do? Once the data manager finalizes the data, cleans the data, and gives saying that this is the cleanest data. Okay, there are no discrepancies, there are no errors in this. Once they give it, it goes to the biostatistician. Okay, he analyzes the data. Okay, he analyzes the data that is given from the data manager. Okay, so and that after he analyzes, it goes to the regulatory authorities. Okay, so and that is one part. And pharmacovigilance is a different department in clinical research. It doesn't it is also part, but it is a different type of department in clinical research, where they take care of adverse events, like when you put a drug to a patient, or when you put a drug to a participant. You don't call them patients, we call them participants or subjects. Okay, you call them a participant. So that participant, you put a drug to the participant, you don't know what will happen to them, right? So sometimes it can give a very adverse event, something like they get seizures and they die. So all the type of different types of adverse events, the pharmacovigilance people are going to take care of. Like, they look into it, and they look into it, that data, and they takes care of these ethical issues related to that. Okay, and medical writing, it is also one of the department. For that, I think they do uh, they do the writing part of it. Okay, where they've entire thing, like they make the protocol, they write the whatever you have the data that they write up. Okay, and regulatory affairs. Okay, these people, they take care of the issues that you come across when you send the data to the regulatory authorities. So okay, once you finalize the data, once you complete the clinical trial, you need to send the data to regulatory affairs, right? The regulatory authorities, right? So whatever issues that you come across with the regulatory authorities, or whatever necessary documents that you need to provide to the regulatory authorities, all that these regulatory people are going to take care. Okay, and project management, they take care of the entire project. Okay, so anyone can be a project manager. See, you can be a database programmer and grow into a higher level and be a project manager. You can be like data manager and grow into higher level, be a project manager. Okay, so you can be a project manager for your department, project manager of clinical operations, project manager of data management, project manager of database programming. Okay, so or you can or you will be entirely taking care of all the departments at once. Okay, that's a very rare scenario, but as far as this managed project management is concerned, you will be particular to the particular department. Okay, taking care of the entire project. Okay, not just a single part of it. Okay, so the next is, okay, clinical trial in a nutshell. So like what does happen, how does it happen? Okay, so first, when you have it, when the um, uh, sponsor or the company that has discovered the drug has decided to go for a clinical trial. Okay, so this drug discovery doesn't just happen in a any lab. It happens in the pharmaceutical companies, right? It can also happen in a lab, but finally a pharmaceutical company has to come forward and take it up for the clinical trials to happen, because you can't alone sit and do a clinical trial, either preclinical research or clinical research, because it involves a lot of money, it involves a lot of equipment, it involves a lot of labs. Okay, so a pharmaceutical company has to come forward for your drug that you have discovered in lab. Okay, so or a pharmaceutical company must be already sponsoring you to do the research. So once you identify a drug and once you discover the drug, you do a preclinical research and then you go for the clinical research, that is clinical trial. Okay, so it all will be taken care by pharmaceutical company. Once the pharmaceutical company decides to go for a clinical trial, the first step that they're going to do is they make a protocol. Okay, so what I mean when I say they they write up a protocol. Okay, so what do they do if they have to write a protocol? Means, I mean, first, what is protocol? Okay, so protocol is about the steps that needs to be followed when you do a clinical trial. That is the protocol. It has all the information. It will have what drug are you using, on what type of participants you are using. Are you using on a healthy participant, are you using on unhealthy, or are you using on patients, are you using what type of patients, what type of age group, are you using it on children, are you using it on adults, are you using it on older people. Okay, that information, and at what frequency are you putting the drug, everything, every single thing will be there in the protocol. And what type of communication that you need to do when you come across an adverse event, how do you need to react, how do you need to document the whatever information that you get during clinical trial, entire thing A to Z, from starting of the clinical trial to the end of the clinical trial, whatever you need to do as part of clinical trial, it will be there in the protocol. Okay, so anyone, whether it is a clinical data manager or a site manager or some investigator or the doctor who is part of clinical trial, any one of us, if we have doubts, we always go back to the protocol. Okay, because it has the entire information. If you want to know what drug is being discovered and what phase of the clinical trial it is happening, or on what type of group that you are working on, age group that you're working on, or anything for that matter, at what time period, what type of drug you need to provide. Okay, so everything will be there in the protocol. So that protocol needs to be approved. Okay, so once the protocol is approved, they'll go to the next step, investigator selection. Okay, so this investigator is a very important person in clinical trial. He takes care of the entire clinical trial. He is responsible for the entire clinical trial. Okay, so he looks into a lot of things. He takes care of the number of subjects that are getting in. He needs to know when is the drug getting administered, and to whom it is getting administered, and what are the adverse events that are coming in. He needs to sign. Only if he signs the whatever drug that is being administered, or it will happen. Okay, the investigator is the final person for a clinical trial. Okay, you will select the investigator and then go to the approval process. Hmm? And then next step is patient recruitment. Once you get an approval, once you select the investigator and got the protocol approved, then you go to the patient recruitment. So patient recruitment is very critical. Okay, so how do you recruit the patient? You can't just randomly go to someone and are you okay if I put that drug in you? If you ask and then if they say yes or no, depending on that you do, or you can't just randomly put on someone, because we are humans, right? It involves a lot of ethics. It involves little different things, right? It's not the same as animal trials, right? So when you do a patient recruitment, what is the first step that they have to do? They'll be doing is consent. They take the consent from the patient. So you will have a written consent or a signed consent. Uh, It can be either it can be either electronically signed or directly personally signed, whatever it may be. But you need to have a consent form signed from the patient. You take a consent form, give it to the patient, explain to them, this is the drug we are using. This is what might happen. Um, these are the advantages. These are the disadvantages that might occur to you. These are the effects that might cause you. These are the plus points, or these are the advantages that you can have. And if you are okay, if you are ready to be part of this, please sign the consent form. So they need to sign the consent form. So once they sign the consent form, only then you will recruit the patient. In case if you are recruiting a patient who is below 18 years, that is adolescents, right? So they will not have an individual consent. So the parent needs to sign the consent form along with the child. Okay, so that's how it works. Okay, you call the consent form as assent form. Okay, informed assent form. And then along with the informed assent form, you will have a consent form also, which the parent will sign, and assent form will be signed by the child. Okay, if they can. So once they are okay with that, then the patient will be recruited for the clinical trial. So the next step will be data entry and review. Okay, so the data entry will be majorly done by the site or the hospital, where the data entry personnel will be there, or site personnel will do. Okay, so in a site you will have a different roles. There will be investigator, there will be site personnel, there will be site manager. Okay, there will be hmm, yeah, there will be a data extraction personnel. Majorly these people will be there. Okay, so the site personnel or a data entry personnel will do the data entry. So maybe you get a doubt, where do you have they have to enter the data? They need to enter the data in the database that you have programmed for this particular trial. For each trial the database needs to be programmed, because each trial is different, each drug is different. Okay, its requirements are different. Okay, so the database needs to be programmed accordingly. Okay, so that's how the data entry needs to be done very carefully by a professional. Okay, so once the data entry is done, then the data management people can do the review. I can see the data in as a data manager, as a data reviewer. I can see the data in the database only once they complete the data entry. Okay, so I do the review of the data, I clean it, I review it, and I validate it. Okay, and I finalize it as the clean data. Okay, because how do I do that? I continuously analyze it. I look at the data, and there will be different types of documents that the data manager will have. They'll have a data transfer agreement, or majorly data transfer agreement, data management guidelines we'll have. So based by putting them beside me, I'll look into the data as per the requirements. Okay, whether, and I finalize it as clean. If I find any discrepancy, what do? We'll going forward, I'll explain to you in detail, like how actually clinical data management works, or data review works. Okay, so once I clean the data and finalize it, it goes for the statistical analysis. So which the biostatisticians will do, as I have mentioned earlier. Okay, they analyze it, they make it there. Like they need to put it in the one. Like because data means it will be a lot. You might have 60 patients, 80 patients, or maybe 1,000. Or I have even worked with a database which has a 30,000 patients. So it's a huge data. Okay, you can't just put the entire data to the regulatory. No, they will not be. They will not look into each data, each page, and say, yeah, okay, this participant has a correct response, or this drug is success. No, they will not do that. You need to consolidate it. You need to analyze it, put it in a nice graphical representation, and do a statistical analysis from your side, as from biostatistician side, and finalize it, put it in a consolidated way that you will present and publicize it. Okay, you need to do a publication of it. You need to present it to the regulatory authorities. Okay, so once they look into that, and once they are approve of that, then it goes further. The data will be filed and the registration will be obtained to release the drug into the market. Okay, so like even when I say clinical trial, this is the step of clinical trial. Don't think eh, each drug will have just need to follow one round like this. No, these clinical trials will have different phases. Okay, clinical trial means not just you do. Okay, you take a set of patients, how many ever is needed, and do it, and then release it. No, you will have different phases in clinical trial. There are specifically 4 phases of clinical trials. Okay, so in the last phase of clinical trial, that if it in the after third phase, it will be released to the market. Even after it released to the market, it will be continuously monitored. That you call it as phase 4 clinical trial. It means once, see for example, you have Dolo 650 with us right now in the market. So we are all using it. We are all using it a lot. Okay, but it's being continuously monitored how it is working on the public, or if anyone is facing any kind of adverse event. For example, I think you must have come across the situations where a tablet you must have been taking for some years, like you must have seen in your childhood, you will be taking a particular medicine, but after some years it won't be there in the market anymore. That's because when they continuously take for some years, and the regulatory authorities will look at the data, and if they find any adverse events, if they are finding any disadvantages more than the advantages with the drug, they'll withdraw it. They'll take it back. So it doesn't just end with approving and releasing to the market. Even after you release to the market, they follow up a lot. Okay, so when you're taking a medicine, it means it has gone across a lot of phases of clinical trials, especially 3 phases they do. So, and a lot of people must have faced a lot of different types of adverse events, and a lot must have lost their lives, or maybe they are aware that might happen. It's not like they're doing it a charity or something. So everyone is aware of what is going to happen. So whatever medicine you get into your hand, it has already gone through a lot of processes. Okay? And it's still going even when you consume it. Okay, however it is reacting to you, can always express. You can always go to the pharmaceutical company and say, okay, this is giving me a kind of adverse event. Okay, it's always useful. So that's about the clinical trial in a nutshell that I've told. And how does it happen? I think this also we had already discussed, right? Clinical operations and clinical data management, biostatistics, and analyzing the data, clinical SAS, generation of reports they do. After they analyze, these people generate reports, medical writing, the report, these people write the report. Okay, and the submission team. So they will submit to the regulatory. Submission team is nothing but regulatory affairs team. Okay, so you can be a clinical operation in the clinical operations. You can be a clinical research associate. This is also doesn't need you to be there on site always. Okay, that's not a type of job you can be. You can be a clinical data manager. You can be a biostatistician if you learn a bit about biostatistics. Okay, and you can be a SAS programmer if you learn a bit of SAS programming. As a from biotechnology field, these are all opportunities you have in clinical research, and you can be a medical writer, you can be a uh, regulatory affairs personnel. Okay, so yeah, this also I think who are all part of clinical trials. Okay, the investigator site, I think I was mentioning like who will be part of these trials is investigator is very important, and then site coordinator who coordinates. See, if you're doing a clinical trial, it just doesn't happen at one place, it happens in various places. With my experience, I have seen it happening all over the world. You get data from Japan, you get data from South Korea, you get data from China, you get data from all over possible. You get data from South Africa. So it means what? It means there are sites everywhere. Okay, so they are testing that particular drug in all over the world. How does it react in each type of people? Okay, so there will be a site coordinator who coordinates between these sites, and pharmacologist, they will do pharmacologist, right, who takes care of the medicines and all. So trialist is someone who takes care of the trials as an overall. Okay, biostatistician, lab coordinator. So when they'll collect the sample from the person participant, um, that lab personnel needs to test them, right? Okay, reference lab. Okay, when you do the lab samples, you need to have a reference lab. Okay, that personnel. And project manager, I've told, clinical research associate, and monitor is site monitor, who looks at who takes care of that particular site, that is the monitor. And regulatory affairs, I've told, data management we have discussed, clinical safety surveillance associate, this is a safety surveillance associate, that this will come into picture if there are serious adverse events. Okay, so these people will always be ready to take care of those. IT is personal, information technology, because you are handling the database. Okay, so definitely you need an IT personnel to take care of it. If I come across any issues with my laptop, I need to go to the IT personnel always, so they are very important. So trial pharmacist, the pharmacist, clinical supply, who supplies the clinical that whatever you are using it. Auditor or complaints, so who takes care of the and the documents, or looks into the complaints, whether we are following the ethics or we are following the regulatory authority guidelines. All that, who takes care of that. So now coming into our clinical data management. So before I go into clinical data management, I hope all of you got an idea, like where do we stand in clinical research, and why do we do it, and how clinical data management is useful or is part of clinical trials. So I hope you can. I think I just want to know if. Okay, so if anyone wants to unmute and ask me anything before I go into clinical data management. So I hope you're all getting what I'm trying to convey. So if you got an idea about what are clinical research trials, what are trials, how does it happen, and where does the clinical data management stand, uh, then we can go deep dive into the data management. Okay, which is my specialty, of course. I go much into that. So if you have any doubts before we go into that about clinical research or anything in particular, you can unmute and ask me. Okay, I hope nobody has anything. I take it as no. I'm thinking uh, you all have understood what it is about. Okay, or if you're expecting something else, like if you wanted to know something else, you can always ask me. Okay, apart from whatever I've got the content to you guys. Okay. Okay, fine. Now let me go back. Okay, so this I think I've been discussing what is clinical data means. I think I've given enough explanation. What is it about? Okay, I have told it is part of clinical trial management that deals specifically with the information that comes out of the trials. Okay, this is what I've told. It's a critical phase of clinical research which leads to the generation of high quality, reliable, and statistically sound data. So the main goal of clinical data management is to get a high quality, reliable, statistically sound data. You need to have an accurate data. You need to have statistically sound data is a very perfect sentence to apply to the clinical data management, because the data needs to be statistically sound, right? So that is the main purpose of clinical data management. Okay, so when you are a data manager, you always need to keep in mind that your part is to make sure that the data is logical, the data is statistically sound. It should not be just anything that the site people gives you. Okay, you need to think from your side. Okay, is this logically correct? Is this statistically correct? Okay, as simple as that. Okay. So you need to always make sure that the data is accurate and correct, whatever you have received, and when you do the review. Okay, it includes the entry. So data management, or sometimes it also includes the data entry. Okay, but as far as I have seen, we were never part of data entry, but maybe it can happen. It can be, you can be part of, because I think data entry you will do when there was this previously, when they were using papers during your clinical trials. Now we are using database, like where the site directly enters the data. But there was this time, maybe some 10, 20 years back, they were using papers on which they take the data, they note down the data from the patient. So then they send those papers to the data manager. So like for example, if it is occurring somewhere else, you get the all the papers to you, to your desk, and you need to segregate it. Okay, and enter the data into your laptop or into your this thing. So that's when the data entry occurs. Okay, but now it's not like that. Wherever the site is there, they can do it there itself, enter the data there itself. And the next is verification. Okay, so the verification mainly happens by the uh, what do you call, Mm, okay, by the site people itself. Okay, that verification mainly, what you call is SDV. You call SDV means source data verification. Okay, so it should match with the source data. So they'll have a particular data. Okay, and it has to match with whatever they have entered. 1 minute. Give me a minute. Okay. Yeah. That's with the verification. So it should match first with the source data. Okay, and then validation. So this verification will not be done by the data manager, because you cannot verify the source data. You don't, because you don't have the source. The site is having the source. So once they enter the data, they need to do the verification. Okay, so how does all this happen is in the database you will have these options to do the verification, okay, and then do the review, and then do the freeze, and then lock the data. So that option you will have it in the database. That's how they can do the verification. And then the validation is nothing but review. You, as the data manager, you validate the data, you approve that this is right from from the perspective of data manager. Okay, so once you validate the data, you will put it as reviewed. Okay, and then quality control of data gathered during the conduct of a clinical trial. Okay, so validation and quality control are part and parcel. You do the quality control as well as validation. Okay. So once you do the review and then you put it as a review, you can freeze the data. Freeze means you'll not be able to change the data. Even the site can't change the data once the data manager freezes it. Okay, and once the data is locked by the data manager, no one can touch the data. Nobody should be touching the data. There should not be no unlocking. Okay, so that's how important a data manager is in clinical trials. Okay, so you need to validate the data, you need to review it, you need to freeze it, you need to lock it. So you are the one who is handling, who is entirely entirely holding the data in your hand. Okay, even the site can't do anything once you freeze the data. They need to request for a freezing if they want the data to be freezed. So it's that important, data manager's role. The CDM is involved in all aspects of processing the clinical data. It involves working with a range of computer applications, database systems to support collection, cleaning, and management of clinical trial data. Okay, so you get the data in database. It uses a lot of computer applications, you get the data, right? So, but you want it in a particular format, then you need to use a particular type of computer application. Okay, you'll have it in the database, but you want it in a Excel format, then you need to convert it. There will be a CSV format. From CSV you need to convert it to Excel, and then you need to apply a lot of formulas or whatever knowledge, Excel knowledge you have, to review or clean the data, to find the discrepancies, to find the errors. Okay, it's the cleaning part of it. Okay, and review and approval of new drugs by regulatory boards is dependent upon the integrity of clinical trial data, which is the core purpose of CDM. Okay, so I think now you have understood what is the, like, how important it is, the role of a data manager is when you, during the drug release process, during when the drug has to come into the market. Okay, so what are the stages in clinical data management? So how does it start from? It begins with development of the data plan. Okay, when you have to do data cleaning, you see, as I've told, clinical trial is an entire thing. It is a very systematic process. Okay, everything needs to be documented, every single thing. You're asking for a data change, you saw a data issue, you're asking for a data change, it needs to be documented. Okay, for example, the example that I've taken in the first place, that was the site has given you information as high fever and provided it as 98 Fahrenheit. Okay, which is not acceptable because they're saying it is a fever and the temperature is normal, right? It is a discrepancy. You can clearly see it, you can identify it. But if you want the data to be updated, or if you want the data to be re-verified once by the site and needs to be changed, that change needs to be documented. You need to clearly state why the change is required. Okay, so since the data will be in a database, you will have an option to post a query. You can open a query, write whatever is the issue. Okay, the symptom is mentioned as high fever. However, the temperature is normal. Please verify and update the data. You write. you write it as a comment and you post it, and it goes to them. Okay, it triggers a response for them, and they update the data and they provide a response to your query. We have updated it, or the data has been corrected, or it was a data entry error. They'll mention. So whatever small update you do, it all needs, every single thing needs to be documented. Okay, that's the reason why you need a data management plan, a document which mentions what needs to be done when you come across a particular type of scenario, or how exactly you need to clean the data. Okay, and then the next step is, once the data management plan is made, it needs to be approved by a data manager, and as well as the one who takes care of the um, study also. Okay, both by the sponsor and the one that who is doing. Okay, so design of the data capture instrument. Okay, so this is nothing but what I have mentioned already, database programming. So you need to make a database for that particular study. Okay, that is the designing of the data capture instrument, that is what database programming. Okay, so and it continues with the data collection and regular quality control procedures. So once the database is ready, then you go for the next step, that is data collection and regular quality control procedures. Okay, you keep collecting the data and you go for the quality control procedures. And the next step is database cleaning. Once they enter the data, then you can go for the database cleaning. Like you clean the data, you look at the data, you find the errors, and then you clean them, you get them corrected. You get a clean data. Okay, locking and ends with analysis, archiving, and write-up. Okay, so once you complete the database cleaning completely, like you have viewed, you have cleaned the data, you are now sure that everything whatever is there in the database is entirely clean, then you review it, freeze it, and lock it. Okay, after the locking, you go for the statistical analysis, archiving, and write-up. Okay, so that's the stages of data management. Okay, this is again just the process, whatever, developing the plan. This is just a pictorial representation I have put. Design data collection tools, that is nothing but database programming. Establish. So first you design and then establish, and then develop data verification plan again. Okay, and then go for the implement system logic check function. Okay, these are very complicated things that the steps that are involved here. It involves a lot of explanation if I have to sit and say it now. Okay, so it's more deep into that logic check function and all. Provide data management training and assistance. Data acquisition, source data on-site verification. This is the verification that I was talking about. And then data cleaning, blind review. You review it and then close database. You need to close, nothing but locking the database. Send data management files to archive. So it goes for the biostatisticians and the regulatory authorities finally. Okay, so so that was the process. Until now we were talking about what's the process of data management, what are the steps that are involved. Now this is phases of data management. Like in data management, what are different types? Okay, so it's not always you get the data and you review it and freeze it, lock it. No, when you take a trial, you first, the question they are going to say is it a startup, is it a conduct, or is it a closeout? They're going to say. So what is the meaning of startup, conduct, and closeout? Okay, when you take a clinical trial, you call it as a startup trial or conduct or closeout trial. When, like, the same trial, it will have phases: startup, conduct, closeout. So what is a startup? When you call a trial as it is a startup trial, so what you are saying, what you are meaning by that? It will have these processes: that making the data management plan, designing the database, establishing the database. This part is part of startup. when you make the database, when you program the database and you finalize the database and data review plan, data management plan, all the documents, you are working on the documentation, you are working on the database design, database programming. Okay, that part is called a startup phase of a trial. So you like as data manager will be part of all the phases. You can't say this it is a database programming, so it's the job of programmer. No, it's you have to be part of it because you will have the idea about the data. The programmer is not going to have idea about clinical data. You have idea about clinical data, right? So when they program it, you need to test the data, you need to test the database, you need to check it, you need to finalize it. Only when the data manager tests the database and finalizes that, yeah, this is correct, we can go ahead with the go live of this data. So when the database is finalized, you let it go live. You call it as database go live. So it means that once it goes go live, it means it is ready to enter the data that is collected from the participants. Okay, so this all happens even before they take the patient in. Okay, they will put a date. We'll be taking the patients in from 1st Jan 2026. So you have the date, you should have the database ready by before 1st Jan 2026. It needs to be ready, all set. They just need to enter the data. Okay, so that is the startup phase of the trial. Okay, where you make a document, where you do the documentation, where you make the data plan, where you will have the even before this the protocol will be there. That is a different thing. So based on the protocol, where you have to make the data plan, database programming, and finalize it. So it consists of activities like case report form creation and designing. So case report form is a whole different thing. So in the database you will have case report forms. So that is the forms you will have, each form. Okay, like how I have mentioned, in the database, the informed consent form I have told. The consent form needs to go into the database. Like that, there are different forms. Okay, so or you have administered a drug. You will call it as study drug administration form. Okay, those are called as case report forms. There are like different forms. Okay, so those form creation and designing will happen in startup phase. Database designing and testing, the testing also you need to do. Edit checks preparation. So these edit checks are nothing but before a data manager identifies the discrepancy, the system automatically throws an error. Okay, for example, the example, see, I'm taking the same example so that you get an idea. So a field you will have in database, a field like symptom, and then you have an option high fever, where you have checked it, and then down you will have under you have the temperature option, and you have selected 98. Immediately the system is going to throw an automatic error. Okay, it's going to throw a query on its own. So how do you to throw that kind of errors and to throw that kind of query, you need to have edit checks. Okay, so that edit checks, testing, and finalizing it also data management's job, data manager's job. And then user acceptance testing, you need to do the user acceptance testing for the database. Okay, once you finalize that this is ready for a user acceptance. Okay, it is ready for the use of this site. Okay, along with document preparation such as data management plan, CRF completion guidelines. So the CRF completion guidelines is nothing but the guidelines that you need to follow when you enter the data into the database, and data entry guidelines and data validation plan. So these are the documentation part, and database designing part will be part of startup phase. So this is each one. I'm just have just taken and explained each one one by one. Whatever I have told, CRF designing I've told, where the you have two types of CRFs. One is paper CRF, one is electronic CRF. Okay, so the paper CRF, it was used previously. Now nobody is using. Now if it's all electronic case report form. So I think I've explained you about what is this CRF is about. Okay, so and then goes to the database designing. So database designing also I've explained. So it is designed by the database programmer and EDC designer. Okay, So this and checking the field, the each field should have how much length of data can be entered, dynamic forms, acceptable ranges when it comes to the lab data. What is the range of data they can enter? Access level management will be designed as per the study requirement. So, like this access level management, as a data manager, I can only access few fields in the database, or some field. I mean, I can access 80% of the fields, but 20% of fields are not accessible by the reviewer. Okay, so because while they do the database designing, they are going to decide. They will be giving the access. Okay, this field is accessible to data manager, site personnel, and site manager. This field is not accessible to data manager, but accessible to site manager and site personnel. Like that, they will design. Okay, a data manager will never have the access to edit the data. You will only have the access to post a query and ask them to update. Okay, you can never edit the data in the database, so that access you will never have. All that will be taken care during the database design. Okay, so CRF annotation. After the database designing is successful, programmer will implement the condition as per data validation specification for queries to fire out for. This is what I have told about edit checks. Okay, so edit checks preparation, and I've told how the edit checks work. And then user acceptance testing. It's a process where you test for the edit checks if they're throwing error accordingly or not. Okay, as per the protocol. Okay, so data validation specification is the document where CDR writes all the edit checks and CDP modifies the EDC as per DPS. Okay, and as per so this is the example they have given. So I've already explained. As per protocol, so the age that needs to be included is 18 to 55 years. When captured as below 18 or above 55, query will fire with query text as the protocol is. So this is a part of edit check. So this is an edit check that will throw error when you enter the data is 17 or 56 or something. Okay, so those edit checks testing you need to do, like whether it is correctly accepting it or not. For example, you are doing an user acceptance testing, you identify that even if you put 17, the database is accepting and it's not throwing in a query or throwing an error. It means that the edit check is not working correctly. Okay, so that's how you do the testing, and then the programmer needs to update it accordingly. And coming to the conduct phase, I hope I'm okay. So conduct phase is after the database is ready. You go to the part of data collection, and then once you collect the data, you go for the discrepancy management. Whatever discrepancies you will come across, okay, you need to resolve them. That is the part of query management. Okay, you'll post a query, answer get the queries answered, close the query, cancel query. 4 types of queries. This is just a process. These are not 4 types of queries. You will open a query, it will get answered by the site, and then once you get that answer is correct, you'll close the query. Or if you once you open a query, if you find that the query is wrong, you will cancel the query. That's how it works. Okay, and medical coding is by a separate set of people. There will be coders who code the medical terms. Okay, so for example, the patient came across an adverse event, or they came across a like while taking the drug he has seizures. Okay, then they'll enter it as seizures, or they'll enter it as something else, or with some other name. But you need to have a medical term for everything. Okay, so these coders, they follow a MEDRA, medical dictionary for regulatory authorities, and code those terms. Okay, you put it as a headache, but they code in their own medical as per the MEDRA dictionary. Okay, this is for the adverse events. In case if you have a medications, you have just entered as Dolo 650, the site has entered. They need to code as per the WHO, World Health Organization drug dictionary. So as per the drug dictionary, they need to assign it to the what type of drug it belongs to. Okay, so this is all very important, because the authorities needs to know, like the regulatory affairs people, they will only understand if you code as per this. Okay, if only they can understand through that, because if you just put headache, or someone puts headache, someone puts head pain, or something like that, if they use different types of languages, it's not possible to do the analysis. Okay, so the coding needs to be done, the whole world needs to follow one type of dictionary, or for all the adverse events or medications. So that's the medical coder will do. And data reconciliation is nothing but this is a it's also part of clinical data management role. Okay, so where you get the data from labs, like once they collect your the blood sample, after you have taken drug, they'll collect a blood sample from you, and then they see if you have any issues in your blood, or not just blood, anything, any sample that they take from you, and they analyze it and in the lab, and that data they'll send it to you separately. They'll not be able to put that in EDC. They'll send that separately. Okay, because sometimes it's not always site does it. Sometimes a separate lab will be there who does the lab tests. Okay, so they send it separately. You need to reconcile the data with the EDC data. Okay, so that's with that. And closeout phase. So once you are done with the conduct phase, the next phase is closeout phase. So during conduct phase, mostly you need to do the entire data cleaning and everything, and then you go for the closing out, like that is locking the data. Okay, you will review it, freeze it, and lock it. It will also, once you lock the data, it will only be in read only mode. No one will be able to unlock it, and no one will be able to do any changes to the data. Okay, finally the database will be logged and all the documents are archived. That's the database log. So the objectives of CDM we have discussed: the integrity and quality. It needs to be the collected data should be complete and accurate. The trial database is complete and accurate. Okay, it should be sufficiently clean to support statistical analysis and subsequent presentation and interpretation. Okay, so this is the conclusion of clinical data management. It helps the pharmaceutical companies to speed up the drug development process by providing clean, high quality, and reliable data, which helps to submit relevant documents with strong support for the drug to regulatory authorities. So the data management role is very crucial during the clinical trials, or for the drug release into the market. So, and the mission of CDM is consistency, accuracy, validity, and archiving the data. So that's about clinical data management. So, and the next is, what are the educational requirements that you need to have, and if you want to get into a clinical data management or clinical research career. Okay, you can have either bachelor's or master's in pharmacy, or you can have a pharma D, master's in life sciences. Okay, or even a medicine student, dental, physiotherapist, and but you should have computer knowledge in MS Word, MS Excel. Excel knowledge is very important. Okay, when you are getting into clinical data management. And these skills, knowledge of ICH GCP guidelines. Okay, there is this set of guidelines that will be there. That is called as ICH GCP guidelines. Okay, which are very important for the clinical trials, to perform clinical trials. Okay, and trial regulations such as Food and Drug Administration, EMA, and DCGI. FDA is Food and Drug Administration. These are other authorities. Okay, computer skills, nothing but Excel skills, leadership skills, record keeping skills. You need to have a leadership skills because you need to interact with various site personnel. You need to interact with the site managers, or those other lab people who are from various regions of the world. Okay, so you would have good leadership skills to talk to them, to communicate with them. Okay, and good record keeping skills. You need this is very important to keep. Record keeping is very important in CDM. Problem solving skills, yes, this is also very important, because when you come across a discrepancy in a data, you need to quickly respond to that, how to resolve the issue. Okay, you can't just go to the site and say this is very wrong. No, you can't do that. You need to have a there will be a particular method how you need to resolve any issue when you come across. Okay, time management skills, because you will have deadlines for everything. Like for a startup, to the database should be go live by this date. They'll say the close conduct should be done by this time. The database log should be done by this date. So you should have very good time management skills and communication skills. Of course, as I've already mentioned, you need to interact with various types of people from various parts of world. And what are the companies that are offering? This is a list of companies. You have a lot of companies that are offering, and in our country as well as outside our country also, you will have very good opportunities in clinical research. And if you go to any foreign country, this Germany, especially I know Germany has very good the Dublin and those areas, and any country you take, okay, any country you have very good opportunities in the clinical research. Okay, so and I mentioned these specifically because there are all these companies, they can be clinical research organizations. Okay, but if you are there are sponsor companies, whatever I have highlighted underlined, these are the sponsor companies. Okay, so where they make the drug, they also do the clinical trials. So they also recruit the clinical data management or any people. Okay, so but these icon, cognizant, accenture, all these things are clinical research organizations, so they do only the data management part. Okay, or yeah, mainly data management part, clinical research only they do. They are not pharmaceutical companies. If you see the icon, cognizant, essential, these are not pharmaceutical companies, these are data companies, right? So they do the data part of it, so they also offer data, they also have huge opportunities in the data management. Okay, but you can start with these CROs and go to the levels of sponsor. So when you get into the sponsor, it's the career opportunities or the or if you look at salary wise, it will be very good with the sponsor companies. Okay, you can learn the everything from the CROs and go higher up to those. Okay, I think that's all from my side. I hope
Hello, Bindu. You can hear me?
yes, I can hear.
Hello. Bindu, it was a good presentation, and you really did the best that you can to give a very impactful insight to the students about all the requirements and and the various phases of the clinical data management as a career. And I would request Yash to cast a vote of thanks, and then I think the students, most of the students have left, and those who are there, if you have any question, please to ask from the expert. Otherwise, we will be closing the session. Yes, you can cast the vote of thanks. Till then, they can put their questions in the chat box. Yash? Okay, I think he is also having some network issue, maybe busy somewhere. So, Bindu, it was a really means I feel happy that you all had been my student and you came back uh, after such a long time we are meeting, and you really extracted some time from your busy schedule as a professional and delivered the talk here. It was an insightful journey for the students for 1 hour 15 minutes, and I think all those students who are willing to get into clinical data management and as a career, so they got a beautiful insight about the whole journey and what skills they require. And in continuation with this, I would like to announce to the students that we are going to start a soft skill development workshop from tomorrow till 24th of June. So anybody who is interested can join the session by registering, or as an audience they can join the session and they can uh, means listen to all the insights of the workshop. Thank you, Bindu, once again for extracting the time and
Thank
being
you.
here. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.